Okay, let's just jump right in. For the Artemis II mission, everything, and I mean everything, the lives of four astronauts, the entire future of human space exploration, it all boils down to just 4 minutes. 4 minutes of complete and terrifying silence. This is the story of what is, without a doubt, the most dangerous ride home in the history of spaceflight.
So just try to wrap your head around this number. When the Orion capsule smashes into Earth's atmosphere, it's going to be screaming in at over 40,000 kilometers per hour. That's Mach 32. It's not an exaggeration to say this is the fastest any human being has ever traveled. And with that kind of speed comes heat, unbelievable heat. The face of Orion's heat shield is going to spike to over 2,700 degrees Celsius. To give you some context, titanium, a metal we think of as incredibly tough, it just vaporizes at around 1,600 degrees. This heat is so intense it literally turns the air around the capsule into a weapon.
Now, that superheated air creates this bubble of plasma that completely surrounds the capsule. And it's so dense that it blocks every single radio signal. For 4 agonizingly long minutes, there is nothing. No telemetry from the spacecraft, no heartbeat data, no voice, just static. Mission Control in Houston will be staring at completely blank screens.
And this quote, man, it just gets right to the bone-chilling heart of it all. The stakes are just brutally simple. There is no backup plan here. There is no abort to orbit. During those 4 minutes, the engineering either works perfectly or it fails catastrophically. That's it.
And you have to remember, inside that capsule are 4 people: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen. These are the first human beings to leave Earth's orbit since 1972, and their survival depends entirely on what happens during that radio silence. So you've got to be asking, why is this re-entry so incredibly dangerous? I mean, we've done this before, right? Well, to understand that, we have to rewind the clock a bit to the uncrewed mission that came before it, Artemis I, because hiding in its picture-perfect success was a deeply disturbing flaw. You know, on the surface, Artemis I looked like a home run. It did everything it was supposed to. The photos were amazing. The splashdown looked perfect on TV. The celebrations, though, well, they were cut short pretty much the moment engineers got a close-up look at that heat shield. What they found was, frankly, shocking. This wasn't minor wear and tear. In over 100 different spots, the special heat shield material, it's called AvCoat, it hadn't just burned away evenly like it was designed to. No, it had cracked and broken off in big, jagged chunks. This was a violent, uncontrolled failure that exposed parts of the shield to temperatures they were never, ever designed to handle. So the big question was, why? The investigation quickly figured out it wasn't a flaw in the shield material itself. It was how that material reacted to a brand new maneuver, something the Apollo missions never tried. It's called the skip re-entry. Okay, so real quick, how is this shield supposed to work? It's an ablative shield, and that's just a fancy way of saying it's designed to burn away on purpose. As the outer layers char and flake off, they carry that insane heat away with them. The shield literally sacrifices itself, layer by layer, to keep the crew inside safe. So, here's where it all went wrong. With Artemis I, Orion dipped into the atmosphere, but then it skipped back out into space for a short time before its final plunge. During that little skip, the super hot outer layer of the shield cooled and hardened, kind of like a crust. But the material underneath was still cooking, still producing gas. And now that gas was trapped. Pressure built up inside these little pockets, and when Orion slammed back into the atmosphere, pop. They ruptured violently, blowing pieces of the shield clean off. Okay, so NASA identifies the problem. Now they have a choice. They can spend years, maybe a decade, redesigning the entire heat shield system, or they can find another way. They chose another way, and for the crew of Artemis II, it is an incredible, high-stakes gamble. Instead of fixing the shield, they're fixing the flight plan. Artemis II will not perform that skip maneuver. It's going to be a direct dive, one shot straight into the atmosphere. It's steeper, it's shorter, and it's a whole lot more intense. The goal is just to avoid that cooling phase completely. But look at the trade-offs. The crew gets slammed with much higher G-forces, and they have a lot less control over where they land in the ocean. So what is the new risk? What are the odds? Well, one analysis put the upper end estimate for the loss of the crew on this new flight plan at a staggering 1 in 2.
a coin flip.
And here's why that number is so tense. NASA's own official rulebook says the maximum acceptable risk for a mission is 1 in 30. Even the most optimistic numbers for this new plan are bumping right up against that line. And the worst case scenario? It's not even in the same universe as their own safety standards.
And all of this, the science, the risk, the gamble, it brings us right back to those 4 minutes of silence. It brings us back to a moment of danger that has a long and sometimes tragic history in our journey to the stars. You know, this isn't just a theoretical problem on a whiteboard. We've held our breaths during re-entry before. For Apollo 13, the silence stretched to a gut-wrenching 6 minutes before that signal miraculously came back. And for the crew of the shuttle Columbia, the signal just vanished, and it never returned, a direct result of heat shield failure.
So much has to go exactly right in these final moments. The service module has to separate cleanly. The capsule has to orient itself perfectly, heat shield forward. The plasma blackout begins. And then on the other side of that silence, assuming the shield holds, a whole complex ballet of parachutes has to deploy perfectly to get them to a safe splashdown. There is just no room for error. None.
And the stakes here? They're bigger than just one mission. They're about everything that comes next. Artemis II, the mission that's supposed to land humans back on the moon, it is grounded. It cannot launch until Artemis II proves that its crew can get home alive. This flight isn't just a test of a spaceship, it's a test of whether the whole program can even continue.
And so, the world will watch, and mission control will wait, and everyone will be listening for the answer to a single terrifying question. After 4 minutes of absolute silence, as that capsule falls through a curtain of fire, will a voice crackle through the static? Because if it does, the moon is back on the table. And if it doesn't, everything stops.
Thanks for watching. If you liked it, smash that like button, drop a comment, share with your crew, and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss a daily update.